I'm a big fan of the Iain M. Banks culture novels, as are many sci-fi fans. And one of the weird little things about the world is that Iain Banks actually made a sort of language alphabet system for the culture of advanced super minds that control the entire civilization, benevolently, mind you. And one of the fun things about this language called Marain is that it's represented by these glyphs of dots that are either filled or empty, basically binary, and then multiplied onto a 3 by 3 grid to create these different glyphs that are intended to be readable either upside down, left or right, basically any rotation, because they may be viewed from any angle in space. So you could be reading these upside down or right side up, but the glyphs are designed so that they are always recognizable, even if they're in a different orientation. And also, these glyphs were mapped to certain phonemes that were basically based on British English, from what I can gather. A little bit of Welsh, a little bit of Scottish. You can see these notes here from a very old website that is still up. Some of these links that you can see here with more information, a lot of those links are dead now, so unfortunately there's not a lot of information online about this that is readily available. You can find information about this language in Iain M. Banks's own works. I think the short essay is called Notes on the Culture. You can find that, and you'll see some details about this Marain language and the glyph system. One cool feature of it is that the minds actually have a whole system of these glyphs that go into multiple dimensions. So you would have a 3 by 3 by 3, and then on into hyperdimensional space, which gets kind of wild. Anyway, I wanted to make a font of this, so I did. And here is what it looks like. I have essentially just converted all of the letters and the letter combinations that were listed in that chart that you can see on this website over here. I just converted those into glyphs that can be typed like so. So I've got A, which doesn't have a corresponding glyph, unfortunately, but B does, C does not, D does, and so on. And here you can kind of see the issue. I don't think Iain Banks really expected us to take a one-for-one conversion from English to what he is describing as the Marain language or its alphabet. All of these sigils that you see here are just circles if they're lowercase, or squares if they're uppercase. And here on this page you can see some example sentences that use every letter of the alphabet, the English alphabet, I should say. And whenever there are certain combinations of letters that are noted here, so for example, EE or TCH or AH, then those are replaced with the corresponding glyph that's noted in the chart. The judgment calls you'll have to make if you're going to actually use this font for anything are, well, how are we pronouncing the E in the? Depending on your accent and depending on your language, that could be a few different ways. It could be silent, it could be the, it could be the, kind of depends on how you want to handle it. So this is not going to be like Orabesh or some other sci-fi font that is direct translation of every single letter of the alphabet, uppercase or lowercase, that you can just decipher one for one. These are going to be judgment calls. You'll have to decide, in your case, whether the X in boxing is best represented by the K glyph or maybe the CH glyph, depending on your accent. So it's up to you, and that's going to require a lot of judgment calls, to be frank. So in this case, the way discotext is spelled, there's a lot of empty space here that you have to make a decision on. In this case, I would think that the EH and then K would be the good substitute. So for example, this is what it would look like. In this case, this is the uppercase section here. So the E here would instead be so EH, and the QU, the U is silent to some extent because it's just the in discotheque. So I would say a K is the one there. And then the E is silent in discotheques. It just goes from the K sound straight to the S. It's not discotheques. So I would just delete this E. And so now you have a string of text here that you can roughly call Marain if you wanted to be fancy about it. All these glyphs are designed to be monospaced, so they take up the exact same width regardless of which letter you're typing in. You may get some variations depending on your personal settings. If you're putting your spaces here, you'll see that there's not a monospaced space, so that width can vary. It's up to you how much you want it to vary. I leave that up to your discretion for your own purposes. But all of the glyphs share the same baseline. They all have the same width. They all have the same height. They have no descenders or ascenders. So it's pretty standardized. So if you were to just remove any spaces here, this would just kind of look like a whole series of weird square glyphs and dots and whatnot. So hopefully you'll find this fun, and I'm curious to see what you do with it. I think personally I will use this in cases where I need to give a sense of a sci-fi world that has, I don't know, some kind of hieroglyphs or engravings or just general greebles that are printed or carved onto the surface of signage or a spaceship. And I wanted to make sure that it doesn't translate directly into some hidden word or hidden language. More than likely, I would just type in some gibberish, remove any of the letters that are not represented by the Marain font, and then maybe insert random spaces here and there, so it has some sense of actually being a written language. But otherwise, it's not going to be a cipher, for example, at least not without quite a bit of effort. So hopefully this is useful to you in your own projects. I think this will be fun to play with, and tell me if you're using it. Thank you very much. Bye.